Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my updated look at all of the polls in the major swing states here, just a little over 2 weeks before the election. This is through Real Clear Politics. It's their aggregate average, the pollsters that they take into account. You do have Donald Trump right now sitting at 219. You've got Kamala Harris at 215. I do also, maybe I should take a look at first just the Biden versus Harris popular vote polls. And as you can see, it does have Harris sitting plus 1.3. If you're Donald Trump, you'll certainly take that. You've got an Emerson poll that recently came out, Harris plus 1, and a few other, Harris polls there. This Marist poll is definitely weighing down Trump's average if it is in the aggregate, and I think it is. I mean, there's a lot of polls in the aggregate, but that was a crap poll. And Morning Compost is another one that they really have struggled this cycle. You take those two out, it's probably like a 0.5 point lead for Harris, which I think is relatively accurate. Obviously, you look at 2020 and 2016, crazy polling errors. Biden plus 9, he only won by 4.2. And then Hillary plus 6.9, she only won by about 2. So around 4-point polling errors in both of those years relative to where we are today. If we got a similar polling error, Trump would win by 3. I don't think that's going to happen. But I certainly think some of these polls, these liberal pollsters, are potentially weighing down. People look at this, they say, oh, look at this Fox News poll. Yeah, Fox News has actually been against Trump in terms of the predictions when it comes to the 2020 and 2016 election. They've underestimated him. So it's not like Fox News is this crazy liberal pollster. I mean, Emerson is pretty solid, and that's basically a tie, by the way. It says Harris plus 1. It's virtually a tie. It's like a 0.3% difference. So listen, if Trump ends up losing the popular vote without any error, like let's say it's a 1.5 popular vote loss, it's a very, 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 very likely Trump victory, probably over a 90% chance of a Trump victory if it's like that. But in general, I would say in looking at this, very, very good news for Trump. And possibly even when you take out those crazy liberal polls, you're looking at like a 0.5 loss. Even if it is 1.3, it's perfectly fine. You will take that if you're Trump based on electoral math, and you will very likely win the Electoral College. Let's go state by state, all of the different swing states. We've got this new CBS News poll that came out a few days ago. It was polled over a 5-day span, and it's got Trump sitting. I mean, listen, Arizona. And see, this is exactly what we thought was going to happen with Arizona. Trump is starting to build a lead in Arizona. You've got these last 4 polls, even New York Times saying Trump is up 5. Trump is sitting plus 1.4. It would not surprise me at all if Trump went into Election Day plus around 2.5 in Arizona, and then he wins it by 3.5. I think this is the one state, you look at all the 7 swing states, this is the one state that's trending in the direction of one candidate the most, and it would be Arizona trending for Donald Trump. You've got a Wall Street Journal that has Harris plus 2. You've got this almost like radio poll here that has Harris plus 2 that's going to get knocked off. Once this plus 2 Harris poll gets knocked off of the aggregate, you're going to look at like a Trump plus 2, we would imagine. I mean, we'll see what happens with some of these other polls, but obviously Trump had a nice 2-point lead. It got close, and now it looks like Trump is extending that lead again back up to around 2 points. Arizona is trending to Donald Trump. There's no doubt about it. Moving on to Nevada, I would say the least important swing state because of the electoral votes. You've got Rasmussen saying Trump is up 2. You've got a few other polls. Trafalgar with a Harris plus 1. That is good news for Harris with Trafalgar. Emerson, Harris plus 1. Wall Street Journal, Trump plus 6. Insider advantage. This is a very, very close state. It is. And I've said that this state could be the closest state out of any of them. In Nevada, you look at this day in history, October 19th, you did have Biden sitting plus 5.5. I think he won it by like 3 or 2. So there was a nice polling error for Trump. If this ends Trump plus 0.8, I'm not going to say it's a guarantee for Trump because it's not, but it's very encouraging. If we went into Election Day, Trump sitting plus 0.8, there has been a polling error recently that goes against Republicans, meaning they overestimate Republicans, or I guess that goes for Republicans. The polls tend to overestimate Republicans in the final poll when it comes to Nevada. That's happened several times. But this day in history, it seems like they were overestimating Biden. And Nevada is slowly but surely trending more and more to the right. It wouldn't surprise me if Trump won this state. But I think, you're talking about 306 versus 312. If Trump can sweep the Rust Belt, if you can take North Carolina and Georgia, the state is meaningless. It is. But it would still be cool for Trump to sweep all the swing states. And I think he's got a decent chance at Nevada right now, maybe slightly above a 50% chance. Moving on to Wisconsin. So you do have Trump sitting plus 0.1, very, very close. Quinnipiac recent poll that has Trump up by 2. Rasmussen recent poll that has Trump up by 2. 3 straight ties. And then you've got these 2 polls that have Harris plus 2 that could get knocked off relatively soon. If we get more good Trump polling out of Wisconsin, you could look at a lead start forming. You had Harris sitting around plus 1.5 to 2. It's condensed to nothing. And we'll have to see. And we saw this is a state where Trump has been polled horribly. You had Biden plus 6.2. You had Hillary plus 6.5. You've got Trump plus 0.1. These are major changes in every swing state. And this is pretty on par with what we've seen. And it checks out. And it looks like another Trump victory, this time in Wisconsin. He's looking so amazing right now. When you look at all of these polls, it really is great. You move to you move to Michigan. Trump sitting plus 0.9. You've got Mitchell Research. You've got Rasmussen, they've got it as a tie. You've got Quinnipiac, a Trump plus 4. Insider Advantage, they were good in 2020, Trump plus 2. You've got a Wall Street Journal, Harris plus 2. You've got the New York Times, Harris. But most of these polls, Trump is winning. And this is the one state where a lot of people are surprised. Look at 2016, Hillary was plus 12. That's just a ridiculous error. And then Biden plus around 7.5. And now you've got a situation where Harris was maintaining a nice about 2 to 2.5 point lead for the span of a month and a half. And now Trump has completely overtaken it to where now he's up by 1. If we went into election night with Trump sitting plus 0.9, very, very confident Trump would win Michigan. There could be a polling error against Trump, but it would be very, very surprising based on what we've seen in 2020 and 2016. Even if there was a slight error against Trump, he could still win it by half a point. But either way, I do like Trump to win Michigan as well. In looking at it, all these states are checking out as Trump victories. Moving on to Pennsylvania, Trump is up again, this time by 0.5. You did have that New York Times poll that had Harris plus 3 in Pennsylvania. Kind of surprising there, but still, you take a look at the aggregate, the overall margins here. Trump is sitting in a very good spot. Even Emerson with Trump plus 1 as well. But just taking a look at this, it's been very, very close in Pennsylvania. It has. And Elon Musk is making major efforts in PA to win that state. It is the most important state in the 2024 election. That's why Harris is always in Pennsylvania. That's why Trump is always in Pennsylvania. Trump is doing another Saturday rally today in Pennsylvania, probably with Elon again, just like they did in Butler. And listen, I think Trump's going to win Pennsylvania. It's going to be very, very close. There's no doubt about it. There are several Republican pollsters in here, but it's not like Rasmussen has been crazy biased for Trump. We have not seen that. We didn't see that in 2020. So, I know there are a few Republican pollsters, Trafalgar. I don't know what AM Greatness. Oh, that's TIP. That's a combination, I think, a Republican liberal pollster. But either way, I would say these numbers look relatively good for Trump. The election's going to be, a lot of these swing states are going to be close. You do also have North Carolina, a lot of great early voting numbers out of North Carolina. Trump winning basically all these polls outside of the Quinnipiac poll. So you will take that. Trump sitting plus 1 overall. And he's actually built a kind of a lead there. It was basically tied for a little bit. Biden was plus 2.5. Hillary was plus 2.8. Both 2020 and 2016, Trump won the state of North Carolina. However, it did get closer in 2020. I do think Trump, if he's able to maintain a 1-point advantage under this environment, there's no reason to expect him to lose North Carolina. Probably around a 2.5 to a 2-point victory in North Carolina when it comes to that. Moving on to Georgia, Trump sitting plus 1.1. So yes, Trump is leading literally every swing state right now. A lot of these are very, very close, but he is leading it. How about East Carolina University coming out with a poll? Trump plus 3. Quinnipiac, Trump plus 6. Insider Advantage, Trump plus 2. Georgia is starting to get away from Harris. And this is where it gets scary. Because if you can take Georgia and North Carolina, oh my God, and you've already got Arizona, you're one state away. You're one state away, because we think Trump at this point, you look at the Arizona polls, it's looking very good. You look at the Georgia polls, maybe Georgia is starting. Now you're starting to say, I'm most confident in Arizona, and I'm second most confident, it looks like, possibly in Georgia or North Carolina. Those three, it doesn't get you to 270, but you're right on the brink. And if you can move those three into likely Republican, now you can just pick off a Pennsylvania, which Elon Musk is putting so much work into, and it's over. So this is very, very interesting stuff. But these are really, really good polls looking at them. And Trump has kind of maintained a lead here. It's gotten a little bit closer, there's no doubt about it. But Trump is still sitting plus 1.1. And a lot of the recent polls do have Trump. I mean, a lot of these polls have Trump up, most of them. And so there would have to be a clear bad error against Trump for him to lose this state, it looks like, unless something changes drastically within the next few weeks. But overall, right now, again, guys, this is the update. Trump is winning every single swing state. You look at all the polls, and even the liberal polls, too. Yeah, that's the thing. Even the liberal polls, Trump is winning these swing states. Even a Quinnipiac, Trump will be up by like 3 or 4 in some of these Rust Belt states. It's remarkable. We never expected to see something like this. and we're seeing it, and it could lend to the idea that this might actually be a blowout. This might be 312. You might have to look at a Virginia, which we've heard, people talk about. We need to see some more polling out of Virginia. You've got that Christopher Newport University that's really warping it. You've got that Emerson. Emerson has been bad in Virginia in the past. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, look at Rasmussen, a +3, Mary Washington, a +2. Virginia, we'll have to see some more polling out of Virginia, I'll say that. And then Minnesota would be another one. They technically do have Minnesota as a swing state because it's only +4.7 for Harris, and I think it is going to be closer than expected. Or I don't know, maybe people do expect it to be a 4 or 5 point victory, but it's definitely going to be closer than what we saw Biden winning it by 7.2 in 2020. That's not going to happen. Hillary only won it by 1.5. I would say around 4 or 5 for Harris. Maybe even closer than that, though, honestly. Maybe it's closer to Hillary to where she barely ekes it out. And then you take a look at a New Mexico, very limited polling out of New Mexico. Looks like, I would imagine it would be closer than the 10 points. Yeah, certainly closer than the 10.6, maybe around 6 or 7. New Mexico being on the border, there's going to be a reaction there. Florida's one that I think Trump's going to have a huge win. I think New York Times, Siena, they're a little bit they're overestimating it, but it's going to be about 11.5 point victory for Trump. Make no mistake. It's going to be a nice trouncing in Florida, and this will definitely turn the state. There's not going to be a narrative in 2028 that liberals can flip it back if Trump wins it by 11.5. That is for sure. Another state people are talking about is Texas. We're getting some more recent polls in Texas. They're not going to input that one poll, are they, huh? There was a nice Trump +11, but it was an internet poll, so it's understandable. No, I think Trump wins Texas by about 6.5 to 7. I know a lot of conservatives say it's going to be a 10-point victory. It's just hard to understand when you look at the population shifts in Texas and what we've seen recently, it go from 9 to 5.8. It's hard to say, well, Trump's going to bring it back up to 10 with all the liberals moving into the state. Guys, when you get population shifts like that, look at what happened to Colorado. 2016 versus 2020, 4.9 point victory, 13.5, a 9-point shift. Now, I don't think it's probably going to go back down to like 11 or 12. There's only been one poll out of Colorado. By the way, another thing I wanted to mention, Oregon got a poll. Wow, they didn't even add the Oregon poll into the, but I saw there was an Oregon poll, Harris +11. It was a liberal pollster, or I think it was Harris +12. Harris +12, liberal pollster. New Hampshire, I don't think there's any new polls. Oh, there was a UMass Lowell. Harris +9. Yeah, I think New Hampshire's probably a 6 or 7 point victory. There's a lot of liberals that claim they're independent in New Hampshire. But either way, these numbers look amazing for Trump. There's really nothing else I can say. Texas is going to be a clear 7-point victory. Florida is going to be a clear victory, possibly by 11 points. Ohio is going to be a 9.5 to a 10-point victory, which will all but guarantee Moreno to win that Senate seat. Sheehy's winning the Senate seat in Montana. Republicans might be able to pick off another Senate seat in the Rust Belt, at least one, I'm predicting. Scott is going to win in Florida. Ted Cruz is going to win in Texas. And obviously the big one, Donald Trump, we think is going to win the 2024 election. And right now, every swing state looks good. Could one of them go liberal? I mean, these are very, very close polls. There's no doubt about it. But you certainly love the position that Donald Trump is in looking at all of the data. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.